This game feels so huge, I don't even know where to begin. Death Road to Canada is a 2016 indie game supported by crowdfunding that comes from Rocket Cat Games and Mad Garden Studios. While this isn't fully accurate, the game has been described as Oregon Trail with zombies. Not to be confused with Oregon Trail, though there are some similarities. Death Road to Canada sets your custom character in beautiful Florida, USA during a zombie apocalypse. You catch wind that Canada is supposedly safe from the zombie scourge and decide to make your way there, as there's nothing to lose in the Sunshine State. Basically, you're tasked with surviving the treacherous 1,500-mile trek north from A Day to Remember's homeland, which can take about 15 days, depending on the difficulty setting. You'll find loot, deal with broken down cars, explore abandoned buildings and cities, meet doggo companions, find some really weird stuff, make some friends along the way, and most importantly, fight for your life against armies of the undead. But Death Road to Canada takes a much more hands-on approach to your survival, as you take control of your character when you stop on your journey to restock on loot. You, that's right, you are in charge of your fate, using weapons you find or buy along the way, be them broken 2x4s or if you're lucky, even chainsaws. As fun and creative as the action can get, Death Road to Canada is just as much, if not more, a strategy and management game. As you progress on the northern path, you will encounter people, and sometimes not people, that you can recruit to join your party of up to 4 zombie slayers. You can control these characters during the on-foot sections, but what's truly frightening is the sections where you can't control them. What really sets the game apart and makes it a lot more interesting and compelling is that every character has their own unique set of stats and skills that comprise their personality, that ultimately dictate their behavior. Each character will also have a trait and perk which you can unlock and upgrade for your own characters. Along the road, you will encounter many events. These events range wildly, and even after all my time with the game, I still ran into new ones. An event is a randomized scenario you and your team have to deal with. It can range from stubbing your toe to being harassed by violent bandits who will kill you and steal your loot without hesitation. These events are where your character's personalities and skills really come into play. Something you'll encounter very often is car trouble. Cars just don't seem to work how they used to, and often break down, forcing you and your squad to move on foot, fully exposed to the dangers of the eastern US. But there is hope, as some characters can have skill in repairing, as noted by their mechanical skill. Proficiencies with these skills are denoted by these cute little faces, 6 of them in total, ranging from worst to best respectively. Depending on your character's skill, you can attempt to fix the car, resulting in many outcomes, kind of like a D&D dice roll. Maybe you're unsuccessful, maybe you mess up and hurt yourself, or maybe the car roars back to life in triumph, raising the morale of your party. There's a lot more to how the actual guts and mechanics of the Death Road to Canada stats system work, so I'll only focus on the basic things. There are many options you have in scenarios depending on the stats and qualities of your team, but even still, going with the choices that seem like a sure thing can still backfire and ruin your trip to Canada. Take my character, for example. I gave him the paranoid trait, entirely not based on real life in any way. Basically, this means that my character always kind of has one eye looking behind him to make sure that everything's okay, and he's never fully trusting of any situation, even ones that seem safe. This can be super helpful for scenarios when, say, the building catches on fire and I have an escape plan, getting us all to safety without losing anything. But this can be a bad thing when we're camping down in what actually is a safe place to stay for the night, but my character is a little bit too worried and we drive off in the middle of the night, preventing us from getting any sleep and making us tired and drowsy the next day. All the stuff related to this actually feels so vast that I'm not really sure what to say about it. It took a long time of trial and error before I started understanding the system, but it never really felt unfair. Oh, and yeah, trial and error is the name of the game here. You will fail a lot. I don't think I made a successful run to Canada until maybe 15 to 20 hours in. But during that time, I was not looking up anything in the Wikipedia or anything like that. I was just kind of playing it casually. But still, I think I got the game shortly after it launched, and I remember feeling like I'd never make it to Canada. I played a bit, then stopped for a while and returned back to it in late 2019 and noticed many changes. They've incorporated this Zombo Point system, where you can find and collect these floating zombie head things to spend upgrading and unlocking perks, traits, and characters, and all that good secret stuff. Before this, you just accumulate skill in those perks by using characters with those perks. So this is a huge benefit, especially if you like to create characters that you run into in the world that have stats that'll help you on your journey, but that you wouldn't quite enjoy playing as. The character customization, I think, is actually pretty great. There aren't millions of options, and all the faces kind of look silly in a cute way, and I feel like there's more than enough options to make characters that are recognizable as you and your friends. That's probably the most fun I had with the game, was creating a ton of my friends in-game and seeing if we'd survive. I actually even made a bunch of characters from Trashburg, and Matt and I recorded ourselves trying to see how everything played out with those characters, which you can check out right here and in the description. I remember seeing an option for multiplayer, but never really thinking about it until one day when my friend Jordan was also playing Death Row to Canada after seeing those videos that I mentioned before, and it gave us the option to join each other's game. Jordan and I were actually living together when I first got Death Row to Canada, and I remember playing a couple rounds co-op on my PC, and it played pretty well. Essentially, the first player plays like normal, and the second player just chooses who they want to play as from the party. Weirdly though, there's this thing where player 2 can't go through doors. Only player 1 can, and then there's a small delay before player 2 and the rest of the squad emerge from the door. So you're kind of always playing catch-up, and player 1 has to be very careful not to trap the other guys in a bad situation. And I'm happy to say that online play worked pretty dang great as well. Unfortunately, it seems like the game's only harder when there's more people, but it was still really fun.
God! No!
This game has a tremendous amount of replay value. There's a multitude of game modes to try, and they offer a lot more than just making the game harder. Familiar Characters mode draws more characters that you've made in your custom characters list to be in your run. Rare Characters mode, that's one of my favorites, has you interact with more silly and wildcard characters that can be extremely useful or detrimental to your run, like Horse, Link, or Cloud. Short Trip to Heck is a more condensed and quicker experience, while a long, winding road is a longer but eventually more difficult experience. And then there's the Deadlier mode, which is pretty much just the hard mode, but unlocking that, it unlocks the harder versions of the other modes and a couple other modes. There's just so many modes. Modes! Boy, let me tell you, this game is dripping in charisma. There's these recurring silly themes that always get a chuckle out of me. It makes me wonder if the game devs are actually obsessed with bodybuilders and lifting, because there's so many interactions and quips about lifting and being huge. Even when events go sour, when I see that horribly low res pic of the skeleton after the red flash, it still makes me grin reluctantly as my group grows closer to death. One thing I noticed is that at first, it seems like the backgrounds when you're traveling have like palm trees that are typical of, Florida and Southeast United States. And then things slowly start turning into pine trees and stuff that you'd see as you get closer to the northern border into Canada. I've really had a lot of fun with this game, and I feel like fun is the best way to describe it. It really feels like you never know what's going to come at you next. Even doing research for this video, I saw so many things on the wiki I had never experienced in game, which just makes me want to play it even more. Anyway, Death Row is only like $15 on Steam as well, and I'd really recommend it. It delivers way more than a $15 indie title could, and its charm is undeniable. Go be too swole to control and never ever cool it.